instance, if you write string x equals, so it's a little bit strange. This stands for the empty string, but in the program code, it's not the empty string. So P cannot actually derive emptiness. It can derive the quoted string, but the quotes are still not nothing. So therefore, so don't look for ways to cheat. The ethic of the problem is that this is representing real Java code or real C++ code. So you can actually compile. This is the one thing I could show in my office. And I thought, something went weird with Piazza, because I posted this to Piazza and I clicked send, and then it gave me the are you still editing window, and when I said no, delete my edit, I don't know if it zapped the whole thing, but you actually can actually make this compile.
I'm just so hard for
okay, so int a equals 3, and then int b equals a plus a. Okay, and then printf b equals percent d.
it was a .38. Holy numbers. That's going to be average here. Well, that's the percentage score. I was going to say the largest group of people is at a 35 or 40.
So this compiles and runs, and so this shows that in real C code, you can write something with plus, and of course the white space. So you need the white space here for lexing the program. Yeah, because it's a binary operation, yeah. Now, just as a little note, if you wrote this, a plus a, then this gets lexed as a plus plus, because it takes the longest string that's a legal operator, and then plus again, and then plus a. So that's how it gets lexed. This is done at the lex even before the parsing stage of the compilation. And then on the second pass, error. A++, the inner A++, is not an R. I'm sorry, it's not an okay. So the ultimate reason why this is illegal in C, C++, or Java is that it gets lexed this way, and you're applying a plus increment to the value returned by A++. But the value returned by A++ is not a variable. It's a temporary value. So it's called a pure R value. And you're not allowed to increment a pure value. So if you write this, it's a compilation error. But if you write here, then what you're doing is you're adding up two pure values. And that's okay. And you have the side effect of incrementing A twice. Yep. Well, yes. So well, now that depends on the language. So when I've taught CSE 305, I've had this highly amusing bit of terrible C code that prints out 4 different values, depending on whether you compile it with C, compiling it with one C++ compiler, compile it with the C++ compiler with optimization on, and I forget what the 4th variation was. But it's actually compiler dependent which order. So in Java, this is well defined to go with a left to right order. So this gets expanded first. But some C compilers use right to left order, and in fact they are based on rightmost derivations rather than leftmost derivations in the underlying grammar. That's true of some older C compilers, C++ compilers. So So you get expressions like this, which are ambiguous, or could be ambiguous, depending on which side. Is if you were to put a variable here like that, probably actually the 3 binds tighter, doesn't it? So you can actually, yeah. So you can, if you write this, you've still got the substring, and then when A is incremented, is actually going to matter. So if it's executed right to left, then A will be incremented and will return that value to the 3. So yeah, so you can get, this is, don't do this at home. This is just terrible code. But I'm just making the point that the differences are really ones in lexing, and the code really can be legal. Okay, question?
I wanna like throw questions about structural induction.
Sure, yeah.
Like, can you like show us example of like there is like suppose there's certain language that like illegal.
Certain string that's
Yeah,
illegal.
certain strings.
So prove by structural induction that a certain string is illegal. Yes. Okay. So,
Are you talking about the white space? So you're supposed to be able to.
okay. So, okay, so let me actually, this is a really hard one. Okay.
There are like rules.
Yeah, so here's actually a very important grammar, which I did not let you know.
I think so. Would it be a little? That's why I was like, so then that would not. I don't see any other way. Was he say states or
Okay. So now, so prove by structural induction that G, that for all W in sigma star, WW is not in LG.
WW.
Yeah. For all W in sigma star, WW is not in L of G.
Is this like a pure element?
They pure any string, so sigma equals AD. So let me just footnote that sigma
Oh,
is a. So this means for any string, the doubled up string is not in L of G.
okay.
So now, so this is a very difficult. It's actually a difficult grammar, but it's not a difficult structural induction proof.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to define P of A is going to be every xi derived has odd length with middle char A. Okay? And PB is going to be every xi derived ditto, 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 ditto.
No, I think that was the general.
Okay.
It was the general.
Now, these properties are fairly clearly upheld in all of these rules for A and B, because this is odd length 1 and that's the middle character. And then, so for instance, if we take the rule A arrow AAB,
Yeah, it seems like
we say let A derive, or suppose,
I'm just making some dumb logic error.
derive star x using this rule first. Then x equals A, y, B, where A derives star 1. Now by IH, PA on the right-hand side, length of Y is odd, and the middle char is A. Hence ditto for X, since length of X equals length of Y plus 2 equals odd plus 2 equals odd. And X has the same middle character. Okay? So once you've written this in a structural induction proof, then you can instantly say that all the other rules are similar, because we didn't really care what the two end characters were, we just cared that they were two of them. So you'd be perfectly good to say other rules for A and B similar. Okay, that's perfectly fine. So therefore we know that we have proved property of A and property of B. Okay, so now we're going to do the rule S arrow AB. Okay, so now suppose S derives star X using this rule first. Now, by the way, you probably don't have any idea what I'm trying to prove. And that's one of the nice things about having a proof script. Because if you follow the script, sometimes you'll have done so much of the proof that you'll suddenly realize, oh yeah, now I know what I have to prove. So let's just go into it. Suppose S derives star X using this rule first. Then X is equal to YZ, where A derives star Y and B derives star Z. By IH, PA and PB on the right-hand side, okay, Y is odd and has middle char A, and Z is odd and has middle char B. Okay? Yeah.
What does it mean, like, PA on right-hand side?
Right-hand side. So that's the beauty of this whole proof technique, is that the logical flow goes from right to left, flows toward the source variable.
Right to left?
Right to left. So with a self-recursive rule like this, then you're allowed to say that if this A keeps its promise for the middle string Y, then you get the property of X, which upholds the same thing for the variable A on the left. So here, you're wanting to show that the property of Y, which you're allowed to take as a promise, implies the same property of X.
Oh, so like this determines like this?
Yeah, well, so by the induction from this A, you're allowed to assume that the length of Y is odd and that Y's middle char is A.
Yes.
Then X is AYB. So X is going to have length of Y plus 2, which is still going to be odd, and the middle character is still going to be the same. So then that witnessed what you needed for the A on the left-hand side.
When we come down here, why did you pick S goes to AB?
Well, I have two rules for S, and they're going to be symmetric. So I might as well pick the rule S goes to AB.
So what's the one?
What's that?
In this example, we have not defined any properties for S.
That's right. Well, actually, this is the property of S.
What we're trying to prove.
Well, yeah, so we're trying to prove that we're trying to prove a negative. S cannot prove any double string word. Now, what you're going to want to prove here is that this implies that YZ can't be a double word. Okay? So if you can, so in other words, no double word can be the concatenation of two odd length strings that have different middle characters. Yeah. So the general script is the one where you give the rule with a colon and then say suppose the variable on the left derives string x using this rule first. And by the right hand side x has to look like that. And then by IH on the right hand side. So that's the proof script I gave in order to save you time.
Oh.
Now, as I did explain in lecture, traditionally, we would involve the number n of steps in the derivation. And then the point is that this a deriving y takes n minus 1 steps, where n is the number of steps used up here. So then your induction hypothesis would be some property referencing n minus 1 on y, and then that would imply the property p of n for x.
Okay, so it has to be like this n minus 1.
Right, so it's induction on the number of steps of a derivation, but it's annoying to have to think in terms of that n. It's like a crutch.
It's really annoying.
It's like a crutch, yeah. So if you got that in my lecture, I did the proof both ways, and with n it was 2/3 of a page, without it it was 1/3 of a page. And then the other point though is that this is how the way we want you to think about how formulas and software systems evolve.
In the lecture, you said the formula you have to prove every variable. So in this case, you prove the S, prove the A. So, but I know A and B are symmetrical. However, the formula you have also proved B as well, right?
Right. So you have to. So if I were to do this, if I just added another A here, if I just changed this last rule, the whole logic, even for S, would go kaplooey, kablam, boom. So you do have to prove, and that's again, you can have a big software system, and a bug in one tiny section of the code can make the whole thing go haywire. It's the same idea.
Is P like the condition for variable A and P be the condition for
Variable D, that's right. And PS is the condition. So now, let me just say as a fact. Okay, so if Y and Z are odd length strings with different middle characters, then there does not extend there is no string W such that Y equals WW. Now to prove this, take M equal the length of Y and N equals the length of Z. And number strings from, let's number strings from 1. Okay.
Oh, I thought you said
So
S.
then there exists K and L. for then and L such that M is equal to 2K minus 1 and N is equal to 2L minus 1. Okay, we can do that because M and N are odd numbers. Now, then what we have is that bit, so the middle bit of middle bit of y is bit k of y and yz. Okay. The middle bit of z is bit n plus
So fixing,
L of yz.
fixing the crash problem.
So K and L are like steps.
Now K and L are lengths. So if we diagram it, diagram in YZ. So this is, let's say this is Y, and that's Z. Then this is 1, 2, up to N, and then this is N plus 1. You're up to M plus N. Okay, now it becomes just an exercise in counting. Okay, so now the midpoint of this string here is going to be between, so M plus 1, M plus N is equal to 2K plus L. Okay, so that's the important fact. 2K, I'm sorry, 2K plus L, 2K plus L minus 1. So N is equal to 2K minus 1, N is equal to 2L minus 1. So yeah, so 2K plus L minus 1. Now, okay, so now the important thing is that okay, so this is the middle bit here. This is bit K. And then the middle bit L is bit M plus L. Okay. Of Z is now equal to
Too efficient.
2K minus 1 plus L.
Continue reading.
Okay.
Hey.
And so this is equal to
Yeah, well,
K plus
it's just
K plus
an
L
example of
minus
structural induction.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now what do we get from all of this? Okay. What we get is that these two indices, so bit K
Like there's a weird part of my brain where it's like I
not
understand
equal
what
to
he's
bit
saying,
M plus
like
L.
in context of
Because
that
the
problem,
middle bit of
but I have
Y
absolutely no idea how to
is
apply
bit
it to
K.
the homework
Middle
problem.
bit
Yeah.
of Z is bit M
for
plus
3.
L. By
You can see that
construction,
it's right.
those middle bits are
But what
different.
words do I use?
Right.
Because one of them came from A and was a little a, the other came from B and was a little b. So now we have two
Shame I missed the
strings
start of this.
of length 2 times K plus L plus 1, such that bit K and bit K
I'm gonna run out
plus
of storage
half
on
the
my phone
length are
before.
different. Those are the bits that line up, which show that they can't be the same string. So if I want to give a concrete example, say y is equal to AB, and z is equal to AAB, and z equals B, like that. So here are these middle bits. And YZ is equal to AA. And now if I break it here, then what we see is that these two bits in particular are different. There are other bits that are different, but those are the ones that matter. If you want to make it, if I make Z equal A, and make this AAB, that'll be clear now.
I was good right up until all
That's
of
the
this
clearest
stuff in the
example.
blue.
Huh?
I was good right up until he started using
Yes,
the blue
yes, and
marker.
they are the bits
And
in
then the moment he pulled out that blue
corresponding
marker,
positions
it's like,
if it were a double word.
yep.
Now, that fact is a very grungy fact. But the point is that once you have this fact, then what this does is this upholds PS on the left-hand side. Okay? So all this work got you to saying that you're the concatenation of two odd-length strings with different middle characters. And in terms of what the target of what you're doing, following the structural induction proof script got you 3/4 of the way. Then you just needed to use this fact in blue to complete your logic. But the form of what you're doing is already done. And therefore, you uphold property PS, which means that we've used structural induction to show that there are a whole bunch of strings you can't get in this ground. So therefore, in particular,
What's up, man?
AA,
I did it.
BB,
I sat out there. I wasn't here. I was here earlier.
Not in
I went the elevator.
See?
So this is, yeah.
So in terms of like structural induction, like the print that talks about like soundness and coherency.
Right.
So you said that like prove those two.
Well, that's yet to be. The most important thing is to be completely, have that difference completely straight in your head.
You have to like prove like sound and coherency of most of them.
Yeah, so when you prove that two languages are equal, you often have to prove that each is contained in the other. And depending on which one you view as the specification and which one you view as your program, that your program meets the specification is soundness, and that it covers all of the specification is comprehensiveness. So that's the idea. I should take questions from one of you.
I mean,
Questions on the homework.
Okay.
Selection after actually improves the comprehensiveness by 3 cases. So the case, they will eventually the diff x and the j will become 0. The diff x and j start as positive and start negative and negative.
Right.
And then also the example proof comprehensive in Tuesday lecture. You only did I think 1 case.
Yeah, I just did one case in proof because I thought the whole proof had been presented.
And
Yeah.
also the second difference.
But the important, the case I did is the important case.
The different, the
Yeah.
back to 0.
Right.
But also the Thursday one, you only have the S as a variable. So,
That's right.
but in the Tuesday one, you have 3 different variables.
3 different variables,
And then you
yeah.
choose A as the one you're going to be using to prove.
Right.
So why you choose A and how you gonna?
Okay, because, well, for one thing, I thought the S had
I can
already
throw the
been
video on my
covered.
YouTube.
But I mainly
But,
wanted to
I mean, it won't-
emphasize
it won't be there
that
until,
you've got to
like,
do all the
probably
variables,
11 o'clock
all
tonight.
the properties of
What's your
all
YouTube
the
channel,
variables.
It's
In
just
both
my name,
directions.
Adam Rates.
So here,
Adam
you
Rates.
needed to prove
Just
simultaneously.
Before we go,
that the S
you guys can
variable
like
is
text me or something or
comprehensive
email
for
me
the
and
equal language.
I'll make sure I get it.
But as a
R-
needed
R-A-E-T-Z.
stepping stone to that, you need to show that the A variable is
Yep.
comprehensive for the one
He's got
more
it.
A
Yep.
language. And the B variable is comprehensive for the one
I
more
see.
B
Midterm review.
language.
So like the homework we have just 1. So we
Right.
have actually to prove total 9 cases because each variable will have 3 cases. So since we have to prove 9.
Actually, it's a little easier.
You're the one who did land.
So each variable has
the
one
land
language.
submission thing.
So you're going to have the S variable is for the
It would have
congruent
if
to
it worked
0.
out, but
A variable is for the congruent to 1, and the B variable is for the congruent to 2, which is the same as congruent to -1, mod 3. Okay? So then you've got the 3 languages, and you just have to simultaneously prove that if the S variable is comprehensive for the congruent to 0, then the case you need of your A variable is going to be comprehensive for the having one more A, mod 3. So, so it's very much like the lecture, except it's going to be mod 3.
But the question is number of A minus number of B as the multiple of 3.
Yeah.
Then which means I can